Welcome back to Speak Candidly. Here's Brandy and Adam.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Speak Candidly. I am Brandy. This is Adam, and this is where we speak candidly about everything and anything we want to.
Today we've got a list going.
Today we're going to do a list. We're going to do a list of villains. Movie villains?
TV show, yeah.
Okay.
Characters.
Yeah.
That are the best villains of all time.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay.
What do you got?
So my first one is the T-1000 from the Terminator 2 movie.
That's a good one.
And I like this one. So if you're not familiar with it, the first Terminator movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger played the bad guy, the Terminator, who comes back in time and tries to kill John and Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
And in the second one, Arnold Schwarzenegger's the good guy. And so they have this other T-1000 that's more advanced, that is no longer just robotics.
Right.
But is now like liquid metal.
Like Mercury.
Like Mercury almost.
Right.
And he comes back, and now he's trying to kill John and Sarah Connor while Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is trying to protect them.
Okay.
And I think he was just one of, first of all, the guy who played him, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but he did a phenomenal job in the role.
Yes.
But I think it's one of the most popular movies that there are, T2.
Right.
One of the most popular action movies ever.
Right.
So I think he did a great job.
Because it was groundbreaking in the effects that they used.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like leaps and bounds ahead of what everybody else was doing at the time. And that role specifically is unique in the fact that it wasn't a very vocal role.
Right.
For
Not
a villain.
lot of lines.
Right. Which is awesome for, on the actor to be able to portray what he needed to through physical acting,
And did a phenomenal job of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. That's a great one.
All right, what's your first one?
I'm going to go with Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest.
Who?
Yeah. Okay, so Joan Crawford is a real person, an actress.
Okay.
Silver screen actress. Very, very popular for her time.
What era?
40s.
Okay.
40s, 50s. 30s, she was doing stuff.
Okay.
Probably most popular when she was obviously at her younger ages.
Right.
But she was a force to be reckoned with, especially in a time that women really struggled to be an individual.
Okay.
Okay. But this story is told from the perspective of her adoptive daughter, Christine, and how life was like for her growing up with Joan.
Which must have been terrible. Why she's in a villains list?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I put her in my villains list because this is a real villain. Like, this woman beat the crap out of her kids, and just some of the things that she did and how she was, and how she was portrayed. Some of the evilest things that you could probably put kids through. Best scene to really kind of like elaborate and kind of like
exemplify.
There you go. Thank you. She goes into Christina's room and it's nighttime, and she's like she's in her robe. She's got like a white mask on her face, and her hair is up. Kids are sleeping, and she wakes them up because they didn't clean the bathroom right. And she goes on this like complete tangent. And in the midst of that, she's like throwing cleaner all over the floor, and the kids are crying, and they're like, "How are we supposed to clean this up?" And then she's like, "What is this?" There's a wire hanger, and she starts beating the crap out of Christine for using a wire hanger to hang up her clothes. Clothes weren't on the ground. It wasn't a mess. That's the whole point of it. Like, there wasn't an actual mess. But this is what life was like for her growing up. And that, to me, that is a villain. That is a villain.
So this wasn't just a movie villain. She was a real life villain.
Exactly. Which is why I think that definitely she needed to be on a list.
Okay. Sounds like she earned it.
Yeah. You're next.
All right. My next one is the Fratellis from Goonies. All right. So if you've never seen the Goonies, the Fratellis were the family, right? Mama Fratelli.
Right.
And Francis and Jake.
Yep.
And I'm not including Sloth in this.
Right.
Because he was awesome. And
yeah.
he was one of the good guys.
Yeah.
But the Fratellis were the villains of it. And, you know, growing up, childhood, the Goonies, I mean, one of the greatest movies of our childhood. And
Absolutely.
And they were excellent villains.
They were. They really were. She was terrifying as a kid.
Yes.
Like, you didn't want to mess with her. Like, she was definitely terrible. And that woman was such an amazing actress to begin with.
Yeah.
Throw Mama from the Train was one of the best movies she ever played in, but The Goonies was a highlight for, especially if you were a kid at that age, you know?
Yeah.
The guys, they were just funny. That was a lot of comedy.
Yeah, a little slapstick comedy.
Yeah, they did a really good job, though.
Yeah, so both portraying them as kind of like bad people,
right?
But also fun and funny,
yeah,
you know,
goofy,
in a way that goofy that fit in with you know the whole plot of the movie.
My favorite thing about them specifically is how the toxic dynamic plays out so splendidly in a very like fun form, you know?
Yes, yes, and obviously having Sloth as, you know, the brother that they tried to hide away.
Yeah.
And then he turns out to be one of the heroes.
Right. He's better than all of them put together.
That was just amazing.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Good choice. Good choice.
All right, what do you got next?
Freddy Krueger.
Oh, there's a childhood one that scared me.
Oh my, all of us.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like it was one thing when you had like Michael Myers and Jason, right?
Right.
But like, as long as you weren't going to a camp and it wasn't Halloween, you were safe. Freddy Krueger is a whole other level of terror because
everybody sleeps.
You have to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, like there is no living without sleeping.
Right.
Right. And he's going to come get you.
And he was in your dreams.
Yes. That's terrifying. And they did such an amazing job on that.
You know what's funny though? As a child, I was absolutely terrified. But I think I tried showing that to my kids, and it's not really that scary.
I find that with a lot of like horror movies that were for us growing up, I felt very, very terrifying.
Yes.
And like Michael Myers, to them, they equate him to like Pepe Le Pew. He doesn't run. He walks everywhere. He doesn't say anything, but he's obsessed with the people that he's going after, and he doesn't give up. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, but I think Pepe Le Pew is probably a bigger villain, you know? But that's
he's a lover. He's not a villain.
That's for another list. Yeah, same thing with Candyman.
Ooh, that is a good one. That is a good one.
Same thing. Like that movie terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
And I watched it again a few years ago. I think we watched it again a few years ago.
Yes. And the remake.
And the remake.
Yeah.
But the original that scared the shit out of me as a child.
Yeah.
I watched it again.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this actually really wasn't that bad.
So it didn't terrify me when we were younger.
No?
No.
Oh, man.
Several reasons. One, because you had to actually call him. So very much along the lines of like Bloody Mary, right? You have to be in the mirror. You have to call his name 3 times for him to appear. So as long as you didn't call for him, there was nothing to fear. Right? Plus, then you throw in the fact that this was a tortured slave who was in love with a woman. And like, that to me isn't scary. I got why he became a villain. I got why he became the monster. He was always treated like one. I
didn't know any of that as a kid. I didn't care about anything. I was just terrified.
Right. Oh
by
my
the
God.
movie.
I know the actor that played Candyman was talking about how in order for him to do the scene where the bees are coming, like they had to pay him like $1,000
for every sting.
Yeah.
I heard about that too.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
I don't either. Man, back in the days before CGI, and they're like, we're going to put a bunch of bees in your mouth.
You're like, what? Okay, give me another one.
All right, my next one is Hans Gruber.
Ooh, okay.
All right, from Die Hard.
Right.
And we just watched Die Hard, the other day.
Yes.
Because it's one of the greatest Christmas movies that there is. But Hans Gruber is the main bad guy. Can't call him a terrorist because they weren't really.
No.
They were more thieves than terrorists. But
they made it a point to specifically point out that they were not terrorists. They were only robbers.
But they were pretending to be terrorists.
Yes. And in the end, they pretended.
And he played, whether it was a thief or a terrorist, he played the shit out of that role.
Right.
Especially considering that Alan Rickman had never acted before that movie.
Right?
Because he absolutely nailed that role.
Yes.
And just made Hans Gruber just an amazing villain.
There are so many times with certain roles that like you just, that person
was made
had
for.
to
Yeah.
play that character.
Yeah.
Because no one else was going to do what they did.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And he and that role is definitely one of them.
What's funny is that, because we were talking the other day about Alan Rickman, and I will forever remember him as Hans Gruber.
Right.
You will forever remember him as Snape.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He'll always be Snape to me. Don't get me wrong. And I even said to you, like, there are so many movies that he's done that I absolutely adore. You know, Robin Hood, where he played
The sheriff.
the sheriff of Nottingham. Excellent job. My favorite line, you know, I'm going to carve his heart out with a spoon, you know?
Yeah.
Beautifully done. So many other movies, but he will always be Snape.
Everything. I haven't seen him in that many things, but every time I see him, he just, you know, he was just a natural at whatever he did.
He really was. Yeah. Yeah. Great actor.
All right, what do you have next?
Jack Torrance, The Shining.
Jack. Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think of that one.
I love The Shining.
Yes.
Like, it's one of my favorite horror movies. Like, I can watch that movie over and over, and every time it's just as terrifying. His character and his transformation, because you get the establishment very early on that, like, this isn't a good guy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like, he has screwed up so many times. He's basically on his last leg when it comes to his career, his home life, not a great dad, not a great husband, you know. He's a writer. He decides he's going to take his family. They're going to go live in a hotel for the winter while it's closed down.
Right.
And be the caretakers. And this will give him some seclusion to hopefully be able to work on the book that he's working on. The hotel itself happens to be haunted, and in some aspects almost possesses him.
Right.
And he ends up going after his family, which we find out through the story that this is something that has happened with previous caretakers on the property.
Right,
It's just something that this property itself kind of has an entity of its own. And just his transformation from this, you know, failed father, failed husband, failed, you know, writer to this maniac.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson is an amazing actor to begin with, but that role defined him, I think.
I would agree. I think that is, and I mean, he's one of the greatest actors I think of in history, but that is probably his best role ever. And you're right. He took the character from just a shitty human being into like a true villain.
Yes.
And he did it, you know, the way that he phased through that and just ended up where he ended up was, I mean, cinematically, again, one of the best villains in history. I definitely see that one.
To take that character from the book
and
do what he did on film with it, I thought was brilliant.
Now, I know Stephen King wasn't really happy with the adaptation of The Shining, was he?
He did not like Stanley Kubrick's, and he actually, years later, helped to redo it in the way that he wanted it told.
Okay.
At the actual hotel that it was based on.
But his issue wasn't with Jack Nicholson. It was with Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He just didn't. I can tell you I've watched both of them.
Yeah.
And they both hold up for me.
Okay.
I really love Stanley Kubrick's take on it.
Right.
Because there's so much artistic integrity in so many of the things that he did, and how, you know, going down this hallway and the pattern on the rug, and then there's the two girls at the end of the hallway.
Right,
you know, like the room is all green. Like, there's just so many things, like, on a cinematic level that, you know, really just made it even more terrifying, which I thought was brilliant, you know?
I have never seen the newer one.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you. But again, Stanley Kubrick's is a cinematic classic.
Yes.
So that I can watch, you know, anytime, anywhere.
I can promise you there's never been a film ever that anyone has ever seen where all you do is you're watching a little kid drive his little tricycle down a hallway, and then all of a sudden there's two girls in their, you know, twins in a blue dress.
Right.
And you're terrified.
Yeah.
And nothing actually happened.
Right.
You're just seeing, and you're like, and you're just terrified.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's why I was terrified of your twins when we got together.
I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to dress them up like the twins from The Shining.
You should have. How did this not happen? How was this not a thing?
I don't know. I always wanted to.
That's a missed opportunity right there.
That really was.
And they're a little too old now to do that.
Yeah. That's okay, though. Give me another one. What's your next one?
My next one is Heath Ledger's Joker from Batman.
Okay.
And I mean, I part of the lore is that Heath Ledger passed away shortly after.
Right.
But I don't care about that. The way he played the Joker, he just owned it. And it was no longer just like a comic book villain. It tethered reality to him and made him just that much more terrifying.
Yes.
And before Heath Ledger even passed away, after watching that movie, I said, like, wow, this is incredible. And this is one of the best performances I've ever seen. And it was from a fucking Batman movie. Right? Yeah. So I think, that one, that's another movie I can watch anytime, anywhere. And it holds up. It's entertaining. And you just watch him play that role, and I just can't imagine anybody else, playing it to that level. He was an amazing actor. The roles that he played, and the depth of the characters, he was amazing as an actor, and it's tragedy to lose him at such a young age. But I do think that has a lot to do with just the depths that he would go to for his character, Yeah. Like you said, like every other Joker, including Jack Nicholson, was played in a very caricature way, right? Yeah. Comic book style, very much so. Right. And Heath didn't do that. No. He gave it a very real mental illness aspect to it. Yes. That, was definitely terrifying. Like, this wasn't just some crazy guy in a clown face. Like this was a terrifyingly disturbed person. And that's how he pulled that off, Yeah, because growing up, my family, we used to go watch the Batman movies in theaters when they would come out. Yeah. The ones that we had growing up with Michael Keaton, that was Batman to me. Like, I wasn't a big comic book person growing up. Okay. That was, to me, like what Batman was. Yeah. And Jack Nicholson's portrayal was awesome. Like, he did a great job. Yeah. But, again, it was a very just, comic book caricature type of representation of the Joker. So that was what Tim Burton was going for, though. He wanted it to be comic book like, very much so, very much and very much like the series as well. Kind of pulled from the comic and that series to kind of form what he did with the movies. Yeah, but this one was it was a whole different take on it, and I know that's what they were going for. Right, they were going for more grounded, for darker. And they fucking hit the nail on the head. They really did. Yeah. They really did. Amazing performance. It's a really good villain. I like that one. All right, what's up next? Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter. Love it. Like, I don't think you can have a villain list without him on it. No. Like, that, again, like, if you notice, a lot of the characters that I'm pulling from they could be real people. Right. Or were. Like Joan, right? And this, again, like, this is a mentally ill person who's extremely intelligent, right, and lacks emotion, like a narcissist, total psychopath, right? And I think that the way that that character was portrayed was just brilliant, with the exception of the mispronunciation of Chianti. Especially, and I'll tell you why it's so difficult. Because he was supposed to be so intelligent, he would not have made that mistake. He would not have mispronounced that. Yeah, I don't think most people listening to that realize that he mispronounced it. I know, but when you do, it's like... But otherwise, yeah, I mean, that's, like you said, you can't have a villain list without Hannibal Lecter on it. Right. When you think of, serial killer characters, right, he is at the top of the list. And it's so, it almost is so, it's the evilness of the predatory aspect of his character, where he was almost like a predator playing with his food every single time, which that was brilliant and terrifying, Yeah. It's almost funny because your list, I think, is very different than mine, where mine is a lot of like sci-fi characters and yours are more, tied to reality.
So I think, like horror happens to be my favorite genre.
Right.
For many reasons. But I think the biggest reason that I love horror so much is because it's an abstract, artistic portrayal of the darkest parts of our psyches and, our species. And I think that when we examine in that and we try to use stories to tell, about these terrifying parts of us, I think that kind of storytelling and that the way that we do that is so interesting to me. And I'll go into a little bit more in depth with like my last one, because that I think was a great shining example of that. But yeah, so that's just the most terrifying movies I find for myself are the ones that are so close to what we deal with in reality.
More the psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are actually terrifying to me.
Yeah.
With the exception of Freddy Krueger, because when you're a little kid and you watch that,
that was that was total childhood
we all
trauma.
have sleep issues now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely what that one was.
So give me your last one.
My last one is the greatest villain of all time, Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Now, I'm a Star Wars nerd, so this one had to be my number one pick.
I wouldn't have expected anything less.
As a child, he was terrifying. As an adult, he's terrifying. He is just the ultimate badass bad guy.
100%.
And, I've loved him forever.
And you're not alone in that, right? Like, how many times has the iconic scene from A New Hope, where we first get introduced to him and it's smoky.
Yes.
And you only see the lightsaber at first. Boom.
Yes.
And then he comes forward and then it's just, chaos, right?
I mean, that scene was so good. They did a 2-hour movie to preface that led right up to that moment.
Exactly. And not only did they do that, but how many movies have copied, used that scene specifically to introduce, especially a villain, Vecna. As a matter of fact, season 5, as he's coming out of the upside down, and he's throwing everyone everywhere. That was modeled in that scene specifically.
Plus the fact that he just, decided to choke the shit out of his coworkers. I mean, don't we all wish we could do that?
No. But that's okay. That's what therapy's for, right?
That's what therapy's for, sure. All right. What's your number one?
Okay, my number one is the mother from the movie The Babadook.
Okay, I've never seen The Babadook.
Which is one of my favorite horror movies. Okay. For the cinematic purpose of how they did this. It is about a mother and her son who they lost her husband, his father, and they're both going through levels of depression because of it. And a monster called the Babadook infiltrates their house basically and starts doing all these things. And he lives in the shadows. But this isn't a movie actually about a monster. This movie is about depression.
Okay.
And the mother's depression specifically. And her inability to understand that what she's doing and how much damage it is doing to her son because she's so just caught up in her own depression.
Right.
So it's the Babadook itself is almost the physical representation.
Manifestation,
of what she's feeling.
Okay.
And how that affects a kid.
Okay.
And there's scenes like their living room is this really dark shade of blue. You could associate that with depression, right? And the monster, you never really see him. He lives in the shadows, right? And then at the end of the movie, like they realize like it never goes away. Once the Babadook is part of your life, it's part of your life always. But you have to find a way to manage it. Brilliantly done.
Okay.
Brilliantly done. And there are pop-up scares to it,
right.
and I thought that that to me was art.
Okay.
That to me was the storytelling of the darkest parts of us.
Yes.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. Yours are very artistic and based in reality. And I'm like, Darth Vader! You know? T-1000.
My bonus one isn't. So.
All right. You want to give me your bonus one now?
You want me to?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Cocaine Bear.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
No. Listen. That motherfucker decided to wreak havoc. Now, we know that the real story he didn't, right? His heart basically exploded. There was
like
no...
30 seconds in.
Right, because he ate a ton
of cocaine.
But the fact that they made this movie about a bear who gets into some cocaine, and then there's just complete debauchery, and he goes on this, like, killing spree, like, ultimate villain.
But he was not a villain. He was the victim in that.
No.
The cocaine dropped down.
He didn't need to do it.
He had never done cocaine before. Okay?
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was getting into, and all of a sudden, it took him over.
I know.
Because it's cocaine.
But he could have stopped.
He could not. He was under the influence of cocaine.
These
Lots
were all
of it.
choices that the bear made.
That was not a conscious choice that
They
bear
were
made.
conscious choices that this bear made.
Cocaine
and
bear.
I'm holding this bear accountable.
Cocaine Bear was the victim, not the villain.
No way. No way. No way.
I will stick by that.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to agree to disagree on mine as well.
Oh, yeah?
Because my bonus choice is Jenny from Forrest Gump.
What is wrong with you?
She was terrible. She was shitty to him.
She was a broken human being who was abused since a child.
Okay, and took it out on him.
She
And then
didn't
suddenly
take it out on him.
Suddenly when he got rich, now all of a sudden she's coming around.
Oh my God, you're such a guy.
Okay?
No. Jenny didn't love herself. And all of the stories like that about her and the men that she gets mixed up in are just more character confirmation of how damaged she was. And she never truly was in love with Forrest, and they portray that very, very well. But she appreciated the fact that he did love her, right? She was sick. She didn't try to go to be with him when he became rich. She went to him to be with him when she knew she was dying and their son needed care.
So why is it that Cocaine Bear,
Fuck that bear.
made his choices?
He
made his choices but Jenny was just a passive victim.
Because when you're abused at an age where it is not your choice, and you're abused consistently through your life where those are not your choices, the consequences of those actions are no longer your choices. They are your responses to those.
I can get behind that. But then how do you blame Cocaine Bear?
He chose to do the cocaine.
It was dropped. He was a bear. It was dropped in front of him. He was
He
hungry.
could
He
have
didn't know what it
walked
was or what
away.
it would do.
No.
All right. Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
That was a good one. That was a fun episode. I like that one.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think we had some good choices.
I think so too. I hope everybody enjoys this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you let us know what you think of our list, and give us some ideas of what you think, the best villains that you've seen on the screen. Doesn't need to be movies. It can be TV, but let us know.
Or it could be Jenny from Forrest Gump.
That's so rude. Don't blame victims. Let's stop victim blaming.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, you can find us on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. And until next time.
Bye, everybody.